All right. Hi, everyone. This is Siris. Hi, I have my mom, Zulma Verdejo-Carrion here, and we're here for a special edition of my Choosing a Different Future show, where I'm going to get to talk to her about all these different things that we talk about on a regular basis. Some of them probably more than either of us ever want to talk about, but it comes up a lot. And some things that might be some tools and tips for you moving forward, given what we've learned in our journey individually and together. And for Mother's Day, we really wanted to start by talking about our mother-daughter dynamic that has morphed into something else, so we'll talk about later. Because part of what we've realized over the years is a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about us individually and as us and how we work as mother-daughter or as business partner, as roommates, as travel companions, so many different things. And so when they meet us, one of the things I was talking to a friend earlier today about is you get to realize all of these illusions and fantasies and misconceptions that the person or people had about us individually and together, and how it shocks them and like brushes up against that when they meet us in reality. Like little comments that let you know, oh, they were assuming this and this, or they thought this and this. That's interesting. I wonder where that came from. Certainly, if they knew me, if they knew us, then I don't think that they would have thought that, or they would have acted in that way or expected that from us. So, and then there's also the whole, we're different day to day, just like everybody here, right? You know, if you're not the same person day to day, you're not the same person now, I would hope, that you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And so depending on when the people met us in our journey, they might have been holding on to certain things about us, again, individually and together, that aren't relevant anymore. So really looking forward to this conversation. It's interesting because right before we started recording, we had a situation that we're both still navigating through right now, where there was some friction between us, but we said we're going to do this. Let's at least start this conversation. And that's one of the things that I really love about us is even when we're upset with each other, even when there's friction, we show up. We show up for each other. We in our discussions and what we be with our bodies, and we know that it's going to help shift it. And sometimes it's about giving each other space and then coming back and having the conversation anyway. So we might not have this all resolved over this conversation, but we're willing to show up. We're willing to go there and be uncomfortable and see what happens. And so I'm curious where this conversation is going to go. We have kind of some bullet points, a very, very loose outline of some of the things we wanted to talk about. And knowing us, some of that's going to get talked about and some of that's going to get thrown out and we're going to go somewhere else. And so we're going to see what shows up. But thank you, Ma, for being here. Thank you for showing up. Part of what happened right before we started recording was we had said we were going to meet up at 2 p.m. and my mom, being the generous person that she is, was giving an energetic body process called the abuse hold. That's an access consciousness body process to one of our dear friends who had traveled in to surprise me for my birthday, who is, I just adore this person, and there's not anything really bad I can say about this person. It wasn't about them. What happened was they started late. There was no communication toward me that they started late. And it affected then us being able to start on time to have this discussion and start these recordings, which isn't an uncommon occurrence. It happens not all the time, or I would probably have killed her by now, but it happens enough that it gets aggravating. And that's one of the things that is something that maybe people would be surprised to know about is, yes, my mom's generous. Yes, my mom's very social. I love that about that. I get that from her. She's probably even more generous than me. some of that distracts and stops her from looking at all the other moving pieces required sometimes, including when it affects other people. And it's, you know, we've had that pointed out to us by other people. We've had discussions a lot about it. What's your take on that, Ma? Like, what happens in your world in those moments that makes it a little bit trickier for you?
Well, at this moment, first of all, I'm sorry. I really apologize for that. And I thought it was going to be enough time with body processes. You don't have, you don't, I never thought it was going to take more than 2 hours. And yes, we started late, but even with that, no. But yes, my fault. Within those moments, I feel really bad because one of the things is like, how on those moments in which you don't want to repeat something and it continues being repeated.
Yeah.
And as I was driving back to my apartment, I was like, I remember being accused of being clumsy. And I wasn't clumsy. But then I became clumsy. And then I said, oh, that's true. So it became like a true thing. And
as I was brought that into your reality or something, created.
Exactly. So then now I don't want to be late. And I'm really, really concerned. And I'm even nervous to be late for your events, for your things. And I'm like, okay, but lately, more than ever, I'm being late. And it's being a pattern that I'm trying to fix now, because now I realized today that we are doing the podcast that, and by not trying to be late, I'm being late. And I have that label of being late and then feeling bad about being late. So that's frustrating. And I know that's frustrating to you. And now it's frustrating for me because there's like this guilt that how come I'm doing this if I hate to be late? So for anything.
Well, and that's the interesting thing that you said, the label late, because I don't see you as someone that's a late person. I still don't. So that makes it all the more aggravating when you are late, because I was like, this isn't who she is. So then who is she being right now each time she's doing this? Now, I'm curious. Do you know why I don't like it when you're late?
Because I throw you completely off. You're
That's
planning
not
your
it.
day.
That's actually not it. Because it's on me if I get thrown off or not. That's on me. It's my responsibility.
Oh, why?
So I don't like it when you're late, because you're probably never late to anybody else but my stuff. Or I'll be like the last, like, you're on time, you are responsible with your business appointments. You really, it's so for me, it sends this message of like a lack of caring, which is completely counter to what I know about you. I know you love me beyond words. I have no doubt of your love for me. And yet this action and the meaning that I place on it, which is on me as well, signals to me, sends me this message of, if you can do this for everybody else, why are you not doing it for me? Why is it that you're not taking into consideration, not just what time you're going to be done, but that you're going to need transition time, you're going to grab stuff, you're going to change clothes, you're going to remember that we said that we're going to be on Zoom and not in person, all these moving pieces. And it's just a very different mom than the mom that raised me, who had even more chaos going on, who had 2 kids with disabilities and me, who had a husband and all these different things. And so with as much as there's a lot going on in your life now, there's less of different people put other people's appointment stuff in some ways. And so I'm like, there's less on your load to manage, and yet it seems to impact how the timeliness of when we talk or meet, or that I can rely on you. So it's frustrating because out of all the people in my life, I can rely on you better than most. And then there's this that comes up over and over again. So it's the message that it sends when I know you're not late to business things, when I know you don't forget your client appointments. When you're going to get a massage somewhere, you don't leave the massage therapist hanging. So extending that to me as well, that can be frustrating. So it's actually, let's be clear, I do not see you as a late person. And therefore, what the hell are you doing being late if you're not a late person?
And it's not you, it's me.
Okay.
It's not you, it's me. It's like me, getting ready. I have everything, I put even the sweater there. I didn't remember that, that it was supposed to be me in my apartment and you in your apartment. And I was ready for yesterday. And today it was okay, yes, I put it on my calendar, but it was this craziness, yes. And yeah, I know that's happening. Um, I don't know. I'm looking into that, and that's frustrating because somebody's late for me. I no, I'm forgiven. I kind of in a way forgiven that sometimes oh, hmm,
There's an aha
and
that happened. I would love to know what that
uh-huh.
aha was.
I was, the person was late, but not that late,
Mm,
and I didn't make any didn't make it as important because it was like
mhm,
a 5 minute late. It was that, that talking about what we were going to do that took a longer time.
mm.
And I didn't know that the body process, I said, okay, it's this time. Okay, we have enough time. I didn't think it was going to be longer. But anyways, it's not only this situation, it's other situations that are happening. And that's the crunchiness that
Mhm.
I
Yeah. I mean, we
and
can't
I was doing.
control other people. And that's one of the things that I keep getting, and it's been becoming clearer and clearer to me over the last weeks, months, and definitely in the last year was really staying in my lane and looking at how I can control if I choose to be bothered or not, how long it bothers me, what, all of that, how I communicate the frustration to you or not. Sometimes it's just like, okay, that happened, let's move on. Or sometimes it's like, this is how that made me feel. And okay, now what are we going to do? Um, but one of the things that you also know I don't like to do is repeat myself. And so I've said this so many different times, it gets to the point where I was like, I don't want to say it again. Like, you already know I'm disappointed or upset. Like, do you need me to say it? No? Okay. So we just know it's here. And now how are we going to navigate this and either let it go or give each other space and then come back later, all these different options that we have available to us. So
As you're
what is
talking
it?
right now, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, as you're talking right now, it's like there are some patterns in place in my world. One of the things I wanted to work with Michael Burnoff, and that when we went to the training, was listening. And then now they said writing it down in my calendar immediately. Because you were going to agree on things, and then I would say, okay, yes, I will look at the calendar, and then I will put the phone down and then walk away. I used to have my calendar, my actual book that I held in my hand, and that worked perfectly. And it was like easier for me to write it down. Now it's my phone, and something I turn around or do something, I put it down, and I forget. And it's to put into place other ways in which I'm going to remember and then block the time before, more time before, so I can get ready. Because as I was telling you, I put everything ready by the door. I was going to go to your apartment, and then I'm like, oh, I went to your apartment and it's not your apartment. So listening is one of the things, because you don't have to repeat yourself. And I mentioned it at the training, say, hey, I need to listen more. And now the second one that I was talking about the other day was, or right now, is like, put it on my calendar immediately. Because sometimes I say, I have something on Sunday. What is it? And I think I juggle too many things at the same time. I'm allowing that to happen. Mhm. So that's frustrating even for myself, because sometimes when I look at myself, and also challenging for me, you were talking about challenges, it's like compare myself with you. I've been comparing myself with you and trying to be, how you raise your kids, and I was raising you. I raised you, and then I'm like, oh, so she's doing podcasts, or she's doing this. I said, but wait, and I setting myself aside and said, but that's not me, but that's
Not
not
you.
me, but that's
Yeah.
not me, but that's not me. It's okay. And with time, things are like, okay, But at the same time, I see myself in your mirror, and there's a lot of judgment when I look at myself in your mirror, because then I don't want to be late, but I'm late. I want to listen, but I'm not listening. Say, and I want to be there. And another thing that I noticed was I was by myself for such a long time that when I was at the apartment or the condo in Illinois, I had this time for myself. I was walking, I was doing the business, which was more calm. I was doing the business, and you were in Chicago, and we would talk at certain moments, and that was it. And I would say, okay, now this is going to happen. I would write it down calmly and then walk away. When we started living together, you were there, and I was like, oh, somebody's talking to me. Oh, somebody's talking to me. Because I was, doing my things, I do cleaning and, have the music or whatever. Ma, you're not paying attention. Say, I wasn't expecting anybody to talk to me for many
So
years.
fast forward 4.5 years later, are you going to still use that? Like, because you said that from the beginning, that's an old story now, because it's not like, oh, we just started moving in together. It's been 4.5 years. Now we don't live together again. Now we have our own places again. But at that time, I get it. And then it was 6 months, and then it was a year. And then 3.5 years in, you're still saying, but I'm back in my old apartment, in my old condo. I used to do it. I was like, that was 3.5 years ago now. Like, how long are you going to use that to explain, surprise, you're here and I don't expect you to be here?
Now, but if you notice, now we are doing more things together than before.
Yes.
And that's not an excuse, but I have to pay more attention to the things that I'm doing that I'm creating that are new, plus all the things that we're creating that are new, plus all the things that you're creating by yourself. So now we have me, our businesses, and your businesses. And then the family. So we were talking, it's like, before I have my business and my relationship with you, and you have your business. So we will like, look at that conversation there. If you think about this, now that we are talking about this today, we have grown so fast in 4 years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we are living together, but we have an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of coordination for the Airbnb, a lot of talking, that shopping, that setting the rooms, that added up to all of that. Then you have your own businesses, and you are doing classes from the house. So I have to go, I don't have to, but I was, okay, paying attention. You're going to have people now, so there was there's no excuse, but at the same time, we have to acknowledge today that as a mom and daughter, we are completely different from anybody else, or maybe some people like us also, but it's like, there are so many balls, and I'm happy for that we are doing it. Say, okay, what are we going to call this? What are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? I'm going to fly here. So we were doing that in a less, I would say, what's the word? At a different level. We have spiked it up, so ramped it up, so high that is like amazing. It's amazing. So now that we are having this conversation that we acknowledge, and I acknowledge this, it's like how I can do all of that, because you have activities that I'm not doing. I have activities that you're not doing, and we're talking, but go ahead.
Well, one thing is that I think is a key point is I completely agree. Our lives have taken a whole, like we've done multiple upgrades, up leveling in the last 5 years, which I'm very grateful for. I never expected you to keep track of all the things that are going on in my business and know everything that was going on. And yet I felt like you wanted me to know all of your stuff, not just to support you, but then I would be another additional hard drive for your memory. Hey, Siris, where's that thing again? Hey, what's this other thing? And that was a lot of pressure on me when I'm also juggling more balls and you're juggling more balls and we have more. Maybe we should think of something else other than balls as a metaphor, but I love balls and all. And yeah, so the thing, and that's a part of an additional pressure. It's like, okay, you would like me to remember things on your behalf or remind you of things, which is an additional pressure that is a kind of dynamic that I didn't have for many years. And then living together, I all of a sudden was expected to do that again. But then when I do tell you the things, you're not always listening and present. So then I'm having to say it over and over again. So instead of it being like an additional tasks every once in a while, it would be double, triple the amount of work when you're not really listening and present. Because we learned to be like, okay, Ma, let me call your name first to get your attention. But literally sometimes you ask me a question, and even as I'm answering you in the question, you're already somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when it would be frustrating. I was like, here I am trying to give you the information you're asking for, or reminding you of the things that you'd like to be reminded about. So because we're accountability partners for each other in a lot of things. And I really value that. It's just sometimes my part and ways to being an accountability partner is less effective when the presence and listening isn't there. And it's hard for me because I come off as a jerk, because when people aren't living with us all the time, they think, oh, Siris is being really short and brusque with her mom when her mom's not listening to this or that. It's like, you don't realize that this is the 4th or 5th time this week I just said that. So you're catching it at the 4th or 5th time when I finally was like, this is enough.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't catch it when I was sweet and kind and just light about it the first 2 times. But at the 3rd, 4th, and onward, I'm like, come on,
Hello. And that's
so,
when you ask me about things for being frustrated,
yes.
I wrote down what I have done is like, I'm not frustrated about that, but I understand because I have reversed the role in a way of me counting on cities, on things that I can do. So I've been lately, and it's again, I've been lately catching myself with traveling, and I think it's no, I don't think. Okay, let's stay in the topic. With traveling, I have said, okay, cities, this is, you like to do this, do that. So I said, okay, now, so cities is going to take care of it. I'm doing it with other things as well, like you were saying right now. I'm thinking, wait a second, when City wasn't around, I was doing it. And when we were traveling certain times, I didn't even know if I would turn left or right when I exited that plane because I was following you. I said, oh, wait a second. When I travel by myself, I know, I look and I said, City, where to go? Where are we going? Or what's the gate? I'm thinking, oh, so I think I have let you guide or lead because there's a reason. And I was paying attention the other day. I've been doing a lot of analyzing lately, and I'm going into what's going on in my life. And it was like, I know that you like to be this person. I don't know. I don't have a name for that. So at that time, I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have let go. I have rely on you on, okay, so if we're traveling, Siris is going to take the lead. And I let you take the lead. But so much so that then I'm lost. Drop me at the airport, and then where's the bathroom? Siris, where's the bathroom? So I say, okay, wait, I can let control of her in a few things, but then wake up. If you made a left, make sure that you make a left, because if City disappears right now, you need to go to know where's the exit.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down. It's frustrating for cities, and then it becomes frustrating for me because it's like this dynamic of, why are you mad at me? If I only did this, they say, because I did this. How come you don't know where this is at? And
I think that this is really eye-opening already. I love this discussion because I have no interest in leading with the two of us. My priority is being self-sufficient, which is very different. And you raised us to be self-sufficient. So when I'm seeing you not being self-sufficient and relying on me versus we're both self-sufficient, we both know where we're going, we both have our passports, everything we need for the trip, and we can truly enjoy it as equals and partners, that would be my preference. That is really what I really like. That's who you raised me to be. Now, for whatever reason, as we've been traveling more and more, it's faster and easier for me to find flights. I know visual spatial where we are a lot of times, and I'm navigating that. But that doesn't mean I don't want you to know where we are and like the bathrooms and where the gates are and things like that. Like when you asked me what gate are we in, I was like, do you not have a ticket in your head right now? Can you not just look at it right now? Like, why are you asking me? Like,
I'm getting better because that last flight I booked it.
Yes.
And I said, Siris, yeah, you didn't answer the phone. I got new tickets. I got the cheaper tickets. I said, I'm buying them. She's with her students. She's doing that. I can cancel within 24 hours. And I said, okay, this is what I got. And you said,
Yeah.
yes. So I didn't
Perfect.
wait. So that's what we have to do more of, or I have to do more of.
It's both because I also sometimes am like, oh, it's fast and easy. You're my mom. I love you. Let me go ahead and book the flights for us. It's the after it plays out, after stuff like flights that I would love a shift on. Because one of the things that's hard for me with you is that you will pretend or you'll play like you're less of a badass than you are. I know how accomplished you are. I know how educated you are. I know the things that you've overcome that very few people on the planet know the length and the depth of what you have dealt with that is amazing to me that you're vertical, let alone that you're as positive as you are. The abusive you've experienced, the neglect, the relationship experiences, all this stuff. Very few people know that. And so I'm so clear of how strong you are, how resilient you are, that when you pretend and be me and needy and like a kid in those moments, I'm like, who are you right now? That's frustrating me because I was like, I know you're not just capable of this, but you used to mentor teachers and influence the lives of thousands and thousands of students over more than 30 years of teaching, 35 years of teaching. I was like, who is this person in front of me? I mean, that's really when I get the most frustrated because when I'm aware of a lie, it pisses me off. And so I see you lying to yourself in those moments. And then I'm like, what?
And you know what? I wasn't aware of it until again, I've been going through this and I was like, I'm playing this pitiful, needy. I'm playing this needy role. And what I'm getting from this? What's in here? And I'm like, who am I being? What's going on? What I'm trying to get from this? And it has helped me to step up and say, hey, no. And lately, I would say 1 to 2 months from, past month, it's like, no, what's going on? You can do this. If you wanted to do this, you would have done it before. And it's been interesting because I've been doing it and I caught myself, I realized, how you're not aware of things?
Yeah.
And I am aware now. And through this, since you move in, I've been doing this. Oh my God, I can't, how can I do this? How can I do that? How can I do? And what about this? And then getting mad at you because you're not helping me when you're empowering me that I can do it.
I mean, one of the things we've realized, not just between our dynamic, but it's even how we interact with our extended family, is one of the kindest, most empowering things you can do sometimes for someone is to not do something for somebody. And so I'd be like, okay, go ahead. Just like you did when I was a kid. Like, okay, you can go to school by yourself. Okay, you can get on the bus. Okay, you can talk to this person. You can take this honors class. You pushed me even when I thought that I couldn't or I was freaking out. And you get it when I do it because I'm like, you got this, Ma. Go ahead. Like, how can I help? And do you really need my help for this? Or is it just like you want me to cheerleader on the sidelines? Because you're a great cheerleader on the sidelines too. Like, what's the role here? And is it what's really required to create more? One of the things, speaking of extended family, is this idea of we recognize that that's what my grandmother does. That's what your mom does. She's an amazing woman. She's super capable. She's a badass. But when she's around her kids, she wants them all to serve her. She wants them to drive her around. She was an amazing driver before she started losing her eyesight recently, but she could drive like at night, anywhere in mountains and like rural roads. She was amazing at that. And, you know, traveling and all this stuff, she would pretend like she needed somebody that when she really didn't need somebody. She basically raised her kids without your dad. He provided some financial support, but the raising the true parenting discipline, that was her, right? And so I'm like, how much were you being like your mom in those moments? And then you're doing those patterns with me of like, well, we would see, because we would call it, we'd be like, do you see how she just did that? Or she'd be like, oh, could you do this? You know, and I was like, you mean that thing that's right next to you that you can just reach? Why do you need me? Like this show, I'm like, oh, you know, like the Southern Belle or something. I was like, are you sure you weren't raised in the South? Like, you know, the Southern Belle, like the Gone with the Wind and all the, you know, the petticoats and everything. I was like, she had it down pat.
Repeating it.
And so then I'm wondering, I was like, is there anywhere that I'm doing that and repeating some of your stuff? So I've looked at that as well with my relationships, you know, really like being very conscious and getting better and better and better, and picking people that support my endeavors, that don't want me to play small. Because there were a lot of the people that you were married to that were like, you don't need a master's degree. What are you talking about? What do you need to travel for? Let's travel this way, in a very like basic, for lack of a better word, very basic way of traveling. I was like, no, I want to like meet with locals and go on adventures and go to places I hadn't been before, instead of just staying on the resort. Like there's these all these things. It's like, okay, what are these signals that people are giving to you that are letting you know what they're willing and capable of doing? And am I willing to listen to those signals early, or just look at just the best things about that person and let that eclipse and blind me to everything that's there? And I saw you doing that throughout my childhood with the different marriages in different ways. And now I think I almost over calibrated in some ways, where I was then in the smallest signs, maybe boltings. I was like, oh, that's reminding me of this person, or that's reminding me of my mom when she did this, when she was with this person in this marriage. Or and so like, in order to avoid divorce, avoid those situations, you might not always let yourself be as vulnerable, as invested, or as committed as you could be, because you're looking for those red flags. And so now what I'm shifting to is, yes, being aware of the red flags, but also being willing to embrace and ask for more of the green flags, the ones that are like, oh, more of this. This is really working. This is awesome. Like, and it's been really helpful to have you and the things you said to remind me of those things. And then also it's been cool to see you actually do more and more of what you always said you wanted. Like, you've stepped up and you're living the life that you basically were telling your kids, here, you can have this, but you hadn't been willing to create it and choose it for yourself until very recently, in the last 5-10 years, really. And it's great to see. And then when there are these moments of like, oh, I'm pathetic, oh, I need this, oh, I'm not capable, I'm like, what the hell?
And having these conversations help also, because that's one of the dynamics that we have. You can be crunchy with me, and people might not know it, but it takes a few minutes, 1 hour. Sometimes we just walk away. And I reflect on what just happened. What did I just, oh, this is what I did. Or she's going through a different moment, and sometimes I say, okay, I'll buy back. And then I turn around. It's not like we stop talking for weeks like other people, or hours of hours. It's like, okay, so do you want something to eat? Or, and people will look at us and, didn't she say this a few minutes ago? Or she brushed her mother off. Or, someone made this comment, and all of a sudden while they're talking, this is really weird. We don't boo, 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 boo for a long time. On the contrary, we go like, okay, now next one. Okay, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and the other thing is the dropping that and recognizing that at the end of the day, what we have is so precious and so unique and different and amazing. That's really more important than all these little small moments that can be aggravating. Like, because they really are small, and that's what I remind myself of when I'm really almost on the verge of just wanting to like, I'm like, yeah, this is temporary. This will pass. Yes. If I communicated it to her and what I really need and how this makes me feel, okay, let's see if it was heard. Let's see if anything changes, and let's get back to living our lives and doing our businesses or whatever that is. I really commend us for that, because it takes a lot to not hold grudges and to not hold on to things. I think that it's a sign of how much we do trust each other and ourselves, because it's like, I know what's actually true for me, you know what's actually true for you, and what's going to be true moving forward with us, which is like, we're in this for the long haul. Like, if we're going to let these little things here pop up and mess with us, we can't get to this, whatever that finish line is, and it's probably not even a finish line.
And
It just
on
keeps
that,
on
also,
flowing.
it's not only with you. It's like, you know what, we have Mia and we have Omar.
Yeah.
And they have gone through, through a tough times as well. And sometimes we, we get frustrated with what's happening with them. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so how was your day? And how are you doing? And we don't, this upsetness or this crunchiness doesn't last not any, long. They know that they can count on us, and we can count on them, at least, to say, hey, how are you? The mom, how your things are going with you as well. So it makes things lighter. It makes
Well, and
our
they've changed
lives.
as well. They've changed a lot as well. And we even in those crunchy, more intense family meetings, as we have our family meeting Zooms, we end with, I love you. I love you. I love everybody. I love you. And we're doing the sign, I love you, all of that. And at the end, because we also are very aware that at any moment our lives could end, and we don't want the last thing we say to that person to be something we will be replaying and regretting later. We don't live with regret. And so I think the way we choose to interact and let the conflicts go speak to that, because we want the things, our attention and energy, to focus more on the things that are way more important in those moments.
And if there's a take also, is like, we can talk about the things that make us crunchy.
Oh yeah.
So just, you told me, tell me to write these, 3 things that, is challenging will work with me. And I was okay, this, and you can tell me, and I said, oh, shoot, yes, it's true. And day by day, we continue growing.
Yeah.
As in all the aspects of our relationship, as a mom and daughter, partner, a business partner, and friend, that it makes us tweak, fix, adjust, and complement, things that are happening, because our lives are continuously changing.
Yeah.
We are not the same mother and daughter that we were like 1 week ago.
Exactly. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, we went through this amazing training, and for communication, and I left completely a different person, and it was nice to be able to compare. So, will you write that? What did you write on here? What did you do on this one? So we are growing together. We are completely different, and my other 2 kids are completely different as well, and they are going to continue growing, and to see them grow, and then to adjust again and say, okay, this is what's going to happen, this is happening. And this is how Omar likes to be, we had to talk to Omar. When we approach him, we had to, say it in this way so he can receive the information. And then with Mia, we have to approach it in this other way so she can receive the information. They sometimes they need a lot of affirmation before we say the information. So our relationship between the 2 of us, we can be like, bah! In the meantime, with the other 2, we
That's not
have,
gonna work. Nope.
those things are not going to work. So, so we are talking about our relationship right now, but it can be, as with partners, we have to say it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
As well. So if there people are looking at us right now, it's like, yes, there's a dynamic with us, and we know, and we are aware that we have to adjust you know, the way that we talk and react, and with other people as well,
Yeah.
and with our other siblings and, you know, friends and family as well.
Yeah. And romantic partners, all of that. I mean, one of the things that I really want to commend us for is that we both are very willing for the other person to change, especially if it's changing for the greater, and it's more and more them feeling more authentic and them feeling like their true selves and learning more about themselves and their body and how to do business and how to, in the different connections that they create. Like, we're like, oh, cool, you met this cool person. Oh, wait, you went to this event. Oh, awesome. Oh, you learned this new tool. That's so cool. How are you going to use that? Like, we're very much willing to have each other add new people and new things to each other's lives. There's another aspect to that. We're also very protective of each other, and not from a space of, oh, I don't think you can handle it, and defend yourself or talk to this person effectively. And it's not like you ever say, oh, I don't think that you can handle it, or that your safety is at risk, or anything like that. But we're very acutely aware when the other person has been hurt or ignored or been taken for granted by somebody else. And you better believe I am not appreciative of that person when they treat you that way. And I think you're more cautious about pointing it out to me when you feel that way about somebody. For whatever reason, I'll let you speak to that. For me, I say this to a lot of my friends and family, no one messes with my people, my home, or my money. That's it. Nobody. And so if you come into my home and you disrespect my home, you don't get to come to my home anymore. I guess if we even are going to be associated at all anymore, we're going to have to meet outside of my house, because you're not disrespecting my home. And my people, including my family, I'm like, be civil, be respectful. You can disagree, but there's a way to do that. Mm-hmm. And so if all of a sudden someone's mean or cutting or like judgmental or like, superior, all this stuff, and to my people, which I've unfortunately gotten to witness a lot of people be that way with you. Oh no, it's a no-go. I'm like, it takes a lot, and I will fully admit it. It'll take a lot for me to welcome that person as easily after they've hurt you, and because you're so much sweeter than me. People hear me say this all the time, and it's true. I'm not saying that I'm not sweet, but you're way sweeter than me. So if you're going to treat someone that's this sweet, this generous, this giving, this way, oh, watch out. Like,
and it's on me. And it's on me also to let people, to treat me not as sweet as I would treat them.
You got your fire though. No one's, that's what I'm saying. It's not that I don't think you're capable of defending yourself. Okay. That doesn't mean I like seeing them treat you that way, even though I'm like, watch out, she's about to get you. I'm going to be right here waiting. And if you don't, I'll step in. But for the most part, you handle it.
For my kids, it's like, for you, it's like for me to empower you. And sometimes I know that there are things that there are red flags, and there are things that they're going to explode in a way, or they're going to go differently than where they're looking right now. And I'm here to when you need me.
Yeah,
I'm here. I know that you can handle it. I can maybe say a few things, but then I just step back and say, okay, she can do this, but at least you know where I stand.
Which is what I asked for, right? And that's what I love, that you're doing what I asked and that you said you were going to do years and years ago, when I was asking for all my friends and for you from advice, because I was in a really confusing, not great situation with my first ex-fiance. And I was asking people, am I missing something here? Is something going on? And I was so sick and I was in so much pain that I was reaching out for help, and I didn't realize like that people didn't feel comfortable giving me advice and help, even when I was asking for it and being explicit about it. It's interesting. I'm just getting an aha about something I realized last weekend with our training around me asking for help. And I think that that's part of it. And so, but after I finally broke up with that fiance and got clarity on what was needed and that wasn't going to work moving forward and all this stuff, I went around to you and to my really good friends at the time that I had asked advice about. And I was like, ever again, if I explicitly ask you for help and advice on something, your opinion on something, I need you to tell me, because I feel like I wasted months that I can't get back because nobody was willing to be like, this is a crappy situation. This is going nowhere. This is not the match for you. You're asked for this, this, and this, and instead you're getting this, this, and this. Do you see how there's a discrepancy here? Like, just saying it like that, it's one thing if I just didn't ask. But I did ask. Because most of the time I don't ask for help. I don't ask for advice. But when I do, I'm ready. When I'm finally asking, that means I'm ready to hear it. And then I felt kind of left behind. Like, you know, it was a disservice there.
Look, at that moment, okay,
yeah,
I didn't remember you asking me, but I didn't even what I said, okay, I gave you different scenarios. Okay, this is happening. And I was wondering if you have noticed that this happened. And this happened, and this happened, and there was little different, you know, the situations lightly, that make a big thing for the future,
right?
And there was no arguments, you know, there wasn't arguments with that you have with that, but different,
No, it
you
wasn't.
know, events, activities.
It wasn't dramatic, like
no, it was like that, but it was like a thing, like a drop of a water drop on the river. And
not the Chinese water torture, because that's kind of how it felt like to me at the time. Like I was like,
no. And then I said, you know what, so are you aware of, you know, and then I was wondering if you knew of this and this and that, you know, of those situations and how that will carry it if you got married and you have kids, and then you said, oh, but I don't remember you know, asking me. I was like, okay, you're going to get married. Let's get married. You know, that's your decision. That's what you're thinking. Okay, I support you. But yes, in my mind, I was like, So right now, sometimes I say, okay, so right now, sometimes I go and you know, you talk to me, and I try to listen. I listen. No, I don't try. I listen, and then
yeah, you were super helpful last night. There was a situation last night and you were like, you know where this is going, right? You're seeing this pattern, right? I was like, I am. Thank you. I am. Yep. I'm taking note. Yep. I think that now I have way more confidence in my ability to discern things. I still ask for input and advice every once in a while, but I also like to process most things on my own first, because I also care that my people are going to be biased. Everybody's biased, but my people are going to be biased. And so they're going to see it a lot of times from a space of how can I prevent the least amount of hurt for Siris versus like, what's going to be the best for her in the long run, even if she's uncomfortable or hurt or has a really tough transition until she gets there. Like I have no problem being uncomfortable and having a hard transition if in the long run, it's going to get me to where I want to go, which I think has seen me through a lot of really, really tough times in my life, a lot of really big upheavals and changes. And I part of that came from seeing you do it. You picked up and started over and over and over again. And there were these tough transitional moments, these moments of like, I got to set up a whole new daycare, childcare situation here. What's the new school that I'm working at and that my kids are attending, and the bus routes and the pickup drop off. And okay, we have all these extracurricular activities now. And then let's change it again next season. The surgeries, the doctor's appointments.
By the way, there's a surgery. Remember? By the way, there's a surgery. Say what? You know, we have an emergency surgery, and then you know the shunt is not working. And I said, whoa. So everything was in place, but now you know this happened, or somebody got that chicken pox. Oh, the chicken pox. So wait a second. So the babysitter, you know, can't take care of the baby or that child. So yeah.
And you always did that with such poise and such grace, and it just let me know, like, yeah, this is tough, but it's just tough for right now, or it's just different. Because not always tough, but we label it tough. It's just different for right now. And we don't have to make it seem like it's a problem by calling it a problem if it's just different, if it's just something new. And we've had a lot of new over and over and over again. And so I think I have a great capacity for new and for different because of how you raised me, because of our dynamic, including your willingness to be like, yeah, why wouldn't you add more things in? Like, you've never told me, Siris, you're doing too much. Have you noticed that? Everybody
one time,
else,
one time.
What was that? Because I think I deleted it then.
In college, you had 3 jobs.
Yeah, I did.
And then you didn't have that number of courses. You have much more. You were taking like 2 extra classes.
Well, I was
and
going
then you
to.
had 3 jobs. And
Yeah.
I was like, at that time I was like, wait a second, because you were getting sick.
Right.
I saw you getting sick. I'm very stressed out, and said, but if you can take that amount of classes that are required, and then the 3 jobs, but you have 2 extra ones, no 1 job, 2 jobs, and then you got a 3rd one. I was like, what's going on? So you wanted to help me.
I was trying to help you to try to get through school quicker, so we weren't paying for college for as many years. Like, maybe what if I can finish in 3 years instead of 4, and all these different things. And I was doing my part with working and being a good student and all of that, and working my butt off. And so, yeah, it was a team effort though. I was just like, we're working as a team so that I can get through school, because it's something that's important to both of us. But I didn't get that it wasn't sustainable at the time. That's the other thing I've learned, seeing you do it and me do it, the signs of burnout before they get there. Like, I catch them sooner so that it doesn't become the burnout. And I make those changes before it's like, I'm kaput. Sometimes I'm faster about them than others. Sometimes we have to remind each other, because we're both at that level. Like, when we were both taking care of Abuela, my grandmother, together, we were both right there, right before burnout. And we're wondering how to not cross over and be kaput. Because we needed each other, she needed us, and there was a bunch of other people that we work with in our businesses and around the world that were also needing us. So it's like we had to make sure that we were good. That self-care piece has definitely evolved over the years.
To be aware that you need time for yourself, as throughout the whole thing, even if it's to sit down and watch a movie. Sometimes there was no money to go and say, okay, I'm going to go on a trip. But even going and at Christmas time and getting in the car and looking at the Christmas decorations, that was our time. That was time to say, to no surgeries, no cleaning, no this. This is our, or TGIF was another one that we did. And then as I was growing up, and even when you had you, it was like even going to the mall by myself and just walk. That didn't cost any money. I learned to take that little time for myself. And if I'm here now, the other day I was working, and I'm thinking, if I work 24 hours, that's not for me. If I had to work 24 hours, I need to be able to say, hey, I'm going to meet new people, or I'm going to crochet for a while. So one of the things that I have, being able to, I hope to transfer to my kids is like, you don't crochet. Oh, you crochet a little bit.
I embroider more. Yeah.
You embroider more, and you meet people. You take time for yourself, and we are trying to tell. Even yesterday I was talking to Sira. I said, Mia, just watch some TV today. You like watch TV? I think today's a TV day. Have some tea, sit down, take your time. Feel until you can feel better, whatever was happening with Omar, what? So yes, so he has the plane now. I was asking him about it. And
the drone, yes.
The drone. So, at the end of the day, we can, the relationship with us is here, but you have your own time. I make my own time, to relax. And then we put in the calendar, hey, let's talk.
Yeah, we
sit
have our
down.
weekly standing quality time where it could be 2 to 3 hours that week. And then we have the business appointments, and we realize that we need to have them separate. There's business time, there's mother-daughter quality time. And yes, there's birthdays and celebrations, like we were just doing my birthday this weekend and things like that. It's like, okay, there are these moving pieces, but they're very different instead of glopping them all together, and then it's not as clear. And it can make it so that it's not as effective either. I think that having those clear boundaries, for lack of a better word right now, and having the clarity of like what we're going to do with this, like what's the purpose of this? The purpose of this is for us to check in and catch up and do quality time and relax. Okay, then the other time, the purpose of this is to do this podcast and have this conversation and let people know some of the things that goes on that's unique to our dynamic. Okay, and then this other time, we're going to practice and present and practice our presentations together and skill sets and what we need for that. What is required logistically for this event? And it's very like there's an agenda, and so we come in clear. We know when we've met everything that we need to do, and we leave sure of what we need to do before the next thing that we're doing. And that's something that I learned from you that I implement in how I do business with how I saw you teach. You didn't arrive when the kids got there. You didn't arrive a little bit before the kids got there. You arrived early, way earlier than anyone else. And you set everything up, and you had your little coffee, and you laid everything out, and you even told me some of the things that I could help with to set things up sometimes. And I saw you be really present and ready. You had your game face on when those kids came in. And then when they left, you'd set everything up, you'd clean things up, you had everything ready. So when you came in the next day, you could have a smooth transition in. And so this is how that rhythm and that organization, that level of presence is what has made me more effective when I'm holding meetings and when I'm doing business. People have commented to me like, Siris, you really like are very clear. You're very assertive when you run meetings. I was like, guess where I learned that from? Guess where I learned that from? You know, and you just like you commanded the classroom, and you're still willing to receive affection, and you were learning from your students. I'm willing to be an authority in the meetings, because that's what I'm getting paid to do. I'm getting paid to present this thing, be it, you know, something about an IEP for a kid or the family and child coaching, and they're going to me for tips and tools. I got to make sure that I own what I'm capable of. Just like you would, when you were in front of the classroom, you knew I got this. This is my jam, right? And so it's one of those things that I was like, you got to show up and be that, even if it's something new.
I'm slacking right now, and as I'm listening to you, in a way, yes, because you know what, I'm not being prepared to go a meeting with you, with other people's, yes. So what's the difference? So I have to make a point. Exactly. So I have to make a point now that you are as important or more than other people, the other people as well. So got it. So is there something that we are talking to we're getting from here today? It says whatever is happening to get together with you. Yeah. There we go. So I don't know who's going to be listening. So I can, I'm trying to be proper.
You're a good kindergarten teacher right now, because that's what you would say in front of the kindergarten student.
Yeah. And on another note is like, for anybody who's listening and they have children, is there something that I learned? One, it was like I did things without knowing that I was doing it. And what I mean is like I did them because I have to do them. I couldn't second guess myself. Mm-hmm. Right now, after I retired, now that I'm retired, I have to choose for myself. So many things. So I'm making myself small now, in a way, and because it's about me now. So I'm making myself small. When my kids were big, I have to be there for my kids. I have to, empower them. I have to make it sure that they have to do this. Now that it's my turn, I can't do this, and I'm making myself small. So if you're listening to this, you know what? This is a process, and I please take this with a grain of salt. Things are going to be changing in your life. The judging is going to be making it worse. Having a conversation and realizing, hey, I'm doing this, I did this, okay, how can I make it better? How can I fix this? How can I change it? It will be my take. And the second thing is that as a mom, I made sure that I was sane because I went through a lot. And even now that I have different roles, I had to make myself keep sane. And it can be a massage, it can be walking, it can be reading, to take that time or to make myself accountable for time for myself.
Mhm.
I going to stop doing what I'm doing. I had to sit down for a few minutes. I going to go on the treadmill for 20 minutes.
And we do that for each other too, because even last weekend when we were in Arizona, you were about to make a big decision around family that was going to be counter to your health, counter to your business and money, to sacrifice again and show up for somebody that in what we had to look at, is that really the only option here for you to do this particular thing? Or was there somebody else that could do it? Or is there a way we can ask and then start planting the seeds for the future, so it's not you again and again and again doing this thing that takes you away from these other things that are also asking for attention and energy. Yeah. So
that's another thing that I have learned is that in many situations, we put ourselves like we are the only solution.
mm,
And that weekend, I learned, I think that you told to ask for help, that we are not the only solution, that we are not, everything is not have to be on us. Even if we are for our businesses, we can find somebody who can help with our businesses. It doesn't have to be mom, it doesn't have to be Siris. I can ask somebody else. And that was having that energy of asking for help, that that difference that he was explaining, the way that we were asking maybe wasn't as efficient to ask, but because people were feeling like they don't need help, they can
that, and if we have the underlying limiting belief that yes, we'll ask, but we're not going to really be able to count on them anyway. Yes, we'll ask, but can we actually trust them to tell us the truth about what they're willing and capable of doing? Yes, we'll ask, but they'll get distracted with life situations and circumstances. And so it's, we'll see how long this goes, assuming that it'll end at some point, inevitably. And really clearing a lot of those, shining a light on those limiting point of views, and then also clearing them. And be like,
because if we really believe that they're going to be dumping us, not being reliable, they won't be reliable. We are saying,
exactly.
That's what we're thinking. If there's nobody as good as us to do things, that's true. Nobody's going to be as good as us to do things. So that's one of the things that we learning, I learned, and to do it and no feeling guilty, with no charge, because there was always, when we are working with guilt, oh, if I don't do this, this is going to happen, I'm going to feel bad, or they're going to feel bad. This guilt drags you, is not healthy, I would say.
Well, and that's a big thing for self-care. Like you mentioned the judgment, and that can be really toxic. And then also guilt and fear and doubt, all of those are really distracting and not helpful either. And when they come up, we've learned different ways that work for each of us on how to navigate that. For me, I don't actually really feel fear very much. Because fear isn't what stops me from asking for help. Fear isn't what stops me from doing the things that I haven't chosen to do yet. Other things that are potentially problematic do, like, oh, well, do I have enough, like the confidence? Like I've realized that there's some things where I'm like, I don't feel like I'll be capable of managing more things that I'm already doing, that I know that I am pulled in a lot of different directions, that a lot of people need me for different things at different times, that they have their expectations on my time and energy, from family, friends, romantic partners, all of that. And so I'm like, if I add this other thing in, is it going to take away from someone else? And I realized that it's actually not my point of view that that's the case, but that's what so many people think, because I do make space. I do prioritize my people. And so But there's a lot of people that have this point of view because maybe of their, past experiences or how they've navigated other things, where if somebody sees me less, that means that they don't value me as much, or that they're just going to disappear over time. I'm going to be disappointed. While for me, it's like my people, like for many of you that are on here, you're my really good friends, that you are listening to this, you're my really good friends. And is there ever a time when you call me and I don't answer within like 24 hours or get back to you? Like if you say, hey, I'd really like to talk, I'm immediately like, let's do it, put in the calendar when. But most people will hesitate to reach out to us because they see us doing so many things that they think that there's not going to be space for them, when literally for the most part, all they need to do is ask for it and we'll do it. And if we're seeing them on a regular basis, we actually can have rhythms of when we're talking on a regular basis too, or seeing, like there's just a lot of ways of navigating it. For one of the things that I love about our family is it's about quality and not about quantity. There are times where we don't talk for months, and then we'll do a Zoom or we'll see each other and we'll pick up right when we left off, and we're just as close as ever. And there's no worry that there's an erosion of caring and love and feelings there. It's like, of course it's there. Like, of course it's there. And what I've been struggling with sometimes as I'm doing my self-care and choosing certain things that I really would like to have as a part of my life is what do you do when the other people that are in your life don't see self-care and don't see you taking steps that are for your benefit and many other people's benefit, as they see it as something that's against them, like it's taking away from them. Do you have ways of navigating this? Have you experienced this for you?
Well, with the friendship and the people that not, people are assuming this, what you were saying, that I am busy. Mm-hmm. And I have many friends everywhere, and they are saying, oh, I don't want to bother you. I said, yeah. What do you mean?
You're not a bother. In case y'all aren't getting this, you're not a bother.
And I was like, I don't want to bother you because you're always busy. And I said, what is busy? So if you text me, say, hey, let's, like you were saying, let's chat. I can if it's an emergency, I can put it on my calendar. It's on my calendar. I'm going to do it. Another thing is that with
unless
Mia,
it's a podcast with your daughter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with Mia, it's like every Sunday. I have, and we talk every Sunday. And sometimes if we talk on Saturday, so we don't have to talk on Sunday. But it's like this touch base, and it wasn't happening before. See, Mia is like it's like this free spirit, really cute one. I love her dearly, but she's okay if she didn't talk to me for a while. But I said, just once a week, let's talk. And now it's like, she texts me every morning, or hi, how are you? I hope that you have a great day. But at least talking once a week. With Omar is different. He's doing this, he's doing that, and he's different. So each child has different, needs and different way of communicating. And we see him on Facebook and say, hey, is everything okay? Through Messenger. He says, yes, I'm driving. I'm going to be about to drive, or I'm going to be, heading to work in a few minutes. So that's okay. He's alive. So,
he's alive.
Yes, he's alive. He's okay. And sometimes he say, Mom, I love you. Say, I love you too. So that will be the communication with Omar and the touching basis, or we do a Zoom. So if with my friends will be the same thing. We can, sometimes we send a good morning meme. They send it to me. I say, hi, how are you? Have a great day. Or those really cute ones, or with or emojis, they send it to me. So that's how we communicate with them. But other ones, the ones that say, oh, you're busy. I say, am I busy or you're busy? Because there's so many ways in which you can say, hey, how are you? I love you. I'm thinking about you. Because they say, sometimes a name pops up and I say, hey, I was thinking about you. How are things going?
Yeah, I have that as well, where I wake up and literally I'm like, I need to message this person today. Yeah.
So that I say, oh, hi, how are you? We've been thinking about you, but you know what? So please don't think that I don't have time. I'll make time. I work from home. It's like even some, I can call on the way getting in the car, and then as I'm driving, I can listen to you talking, especially if I know where I'm going, if I have my GPS. But
So
yes,
you have had people that have expressed that by you, because we said earlier, we've up leveled a ton in the last 5 years. Most of that time has been away from most of our family and friends. We've been in a different state or a different country than most of our family and friends that we had known for 30, 40 years before that move to Savannah. And now we're in Charlotte. We're starting from scratch again here, except for each other. We didn't have anybody that we knew ahead of time here. And so have you been having people that are sending you the message either implicitly or explicitly that by you growing so much and doing so much more, it's taking away from what you have with them?
not explicitly that way, but they will say, "Oh, I'm not reaching out, or I don't call you because I know that you're busy."
Yeah. So one of the things that I've learned is for the few people that have said that, the first time they actually say it, I make it clear, like, I'm going to make time for you. You are important to me. You just have to reach out. I reach out to you. So it works both ways, but it can't always be me reaching out. I've learned that if I'm the one that's always doing the reaching out, always doing the one that's planning and giving and traveling to you and things like that, then this is probably not going to be a sustainable relationship, friendship, business, partnership, whatever it is. And I also got, and this is from a mentor of mine, it doesn't have to be 50-50. It's not about 50-50, but it definitely has to be that it's not always me doing the planning, the going to you, the asking, the reaching out. And so I've learned, especially since moving from Chicago, where I was there for, 35 years or something, we moved to Savannah, I really got to see who were my friends, who didn't have the point of view that physical distance was significant. When I travel to Chicago 4 times in a year after moving out of the city, and you can't pick up the phone, I'm like, okay, that's telling. Because it's not then really physical distance. There's something else going on here, right? Because I am, even when I'm in the city again, and you're still not answering the phone. So I'm like, what's going on? The other piece with that we're talking about is I love that you said, is it that I'm busy or that you're busy, but my busy is more public? It's more available for pointing out examples to. I would love to know what your busy is, because I want to know what's going on in your life. You think you know everything that's going on in my life. I can't imagine, I can't tell you how many times people are like, oh, you didn't post that picture. I'm like, I don't post all my pictures. You get a good chunk of it, but there are some things that are really just for me. I have just enough of a public life as I want. And there are certain things that are just going to be for me, just going to be for my close friends, just going to be for me and my family. And so if you think you know everything about me and everything about us because of what you see on social media, you're missing out on a lot, which is part of why I wanted to have this discussion, because I maybe we're filling in some of the gaps that people have about how we interact. Like, I was looking at the different hats that we wear, the mother, daughter, and sometimes I'm the mother and you're the daughter, sometimes I'm the daughter, you're the mother, then the business partners and the roommates when we used to be roommates, and okay, now travel companions, and we're stripping all these different hats. And it was really lovely yesterday. You threw this surprise gathering and you asked all these people from Savannah and around here to travel in. Some people traveled 4 hours to surprise me and celebrate my birthday a week early with me. And I was like, oh, I'm the daughter right now. I remember clearly having the moment, like, when was the last time I was the daughter? And it's usually in like celebratory moments like that. Like when I was like, oh, as her daughter, I am going to throw her a birthday, or I'm going to organize this, and I'll put the daughter hat on. But most of the time, and I said this before, but I didn't really see how clearly I was spot on when I said this. There was somebody that I said some kind of sexual comment in front of you, and they were like, oh, how are you going to say that in front of your mom? And I was like, she's not my mom right now. I'm not her daughter right now. We're not, this is not what's happening here. We are best friends. We are roommates. And so I can say all this. And she says worse things to me sometimes. You just don't, you haven't heard it yet. Wait for it. And I realized, I was like, oh, I was spot on there. But here's this person coming in, projecting their stuff about how mothers and daughters are supposed to interact onto us, and being like, that's not how we be. That's not how we interact. And so, but it was lovely, because I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm the daughter right now. Okay. That's really fresh, because I have a great mom.
I did good. I did good.
I picked well. I picked very well. Yeah. So thank you so much for being willing to have this conversation. We're going to have some other ones, y'all. We want to talk to you if you'd like. Let us know if you like this. Let us know what questions and comments you have. But we get that you have these conversations that contribute to us having more clarity all the time, and us keep expanding our worlds. And so hopefully this conversation contributed to you having that. One of the other things that we were talking about, maybe having some conversations in the future, is like the divorce stuff and how we navigated that, those transitions, how we both work with kids in very different ways. That's another thing that we can talk about. There's a lot of stuff, the self-care that we kind of scratched the surface on. There's so much more we can discuss, because our journeys with self-care has also been very different, and yet they have intersectionalities. So if any of those sound interesting to you, go ahead and pop that under this video and let us know which of these you would like to learn about. We'll prioritize them, and we get some more people voting on those particular topics. But happy early Mother's Day, Mom.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully get to have this posted the week of Mother's Day, so y'all can enjoy it. Maybe watch this with your mom, or think of your mom if she's passed, because I know a lot of my friends, their mom has passed and Ma has adopted them or sends them their love from her. And she says, go ahead and call me Mommy Zulma. So maybe hold your mom in your heart and watch this, and know that we are caring about you and thinking of you in this time. I don't want to assume anything about anyone's relationship with their mothers. And thank you for maybe making a little bit less assumptions about my relationship with my mother.
Yes.
This discussion. Until next time, bye for now.
Take care. Bye.